Hi there, it's David here. Hope you're well. Today we're going to talk about existentialism. And there was a philosopher called Jean-Paul Sartre who became very popular in the 60s. And it's because his philosophy on life was existentialism, which is to do with the meaning to existence, and or if there is any meaning to existence. So Jean-Paul Sartre developed his own language, as philosophers often do. They're usually trying to explain ideas, but they run out of words, so they end up inventing them so that they can get the point across. And so Jean-Paul Sartre had a whole lot of different ideas based around his general philosophy. And one of these was called absurd. And I think I remember it could have been a Bebop Deluxe album or something written by Bill Nelson, who was the lead. He was a writer and musician guitarist with Bebop Deluxe, and I think he wrote something. He was very heavily influenced by John. He was heavily influenced by Jean Cocteau. Isn't there a connection? Or Jean Cocteau, Jean Cocteau. The Cocteau twins were, an 80s group, mainly in the 80s anyway. And he wrote about the theatre of the absurd, Jean Cocteau. So, that's absurd, we say, when we think something could not possibly happen. Or if an idea or argument has no connection with reality. Or if something has happened but still doesn't make any sense and can't be taken seriously. It's a gesture of dismissal. That's absurd. I'm not accepting that. In existentialism, the absurd is turned on its head and becomes the principle of reality instead of its opposite. The criterion of relevance instead of its opposite. The existential idea of the absurd was taken furthest by Camus, who proclaimed it with almost religious fervour. From the moment the absurd is recognised, it becomes a passion. And this passion, like religious intensity, is harrowing. It's interesting if you think about what's been happening the past few years. I go back to somebody like Voltaire, who said, 500 years ago, if you can convince someone of the absurd, then you can get them to commit an atrocity. Worth bearing in mind when you see people's behaviour. So, what did Camus mean when he talked of recognising the absurd? Sometimes he takes a provocatively intense and gloomy approach, defining this absurd quality as the primitive hostility of the world. There's a lot of that about the primitive hostility of the world. Most of the time, we carry on unaware of the world around us. Then suddenly, a certain denseness and strangeness breaks in upon us. It is the reverse of the usual idea of illumination or inspiration. This absurdity is a kind of negative illumination. At a certain moment, we see that we really cannot make any sense of the most obvious and familiar things in our lives. Take an ordinary object, such as the carpet we walk over every day of our lives, down the corridor at work. This day I notice it, the blue pattern, the stains, the frayed edges. And then I look out the window and see an ambulance tearing down the street, siren blaring. I can't put these sensations together, and yet I do so every second of the day to make up the ordinary texture that I call everyday life. How can that old coffee stain by my foot share the same world as that desperately wailing siren? And inside the ambulance, the last drama of a person I have never known and will never know, yet who shares with me the consciousness of that blaring sound. That is the absurd, that sensation of the impossibility of these things belonging together. That's it for now. I'll speak to you later with the next lesson in philosophy. Bye-bye.